Never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another.
What you heard about me, but a chick can't get a dollar out of me.
Hello YouTube, I am Raheem and you are tuned into the TrayTableSeatBack YouTube channel, where I'll take you around the world with me and bring you travel videos and discussions from not only my eyes, but we'll also highlight other brown and black travelers who look like us with the intent to inspire. Make sure that you press that subscribe button, like this video, share this video, comment below places you want me to visit, topics you want me to discuss, and other brown and black travelers you want to see me interview. So without further ado, let's jump into the next episode. Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary and queer folks, as we start our descent, please make sure your tray tables and seat backs are in their full upright position. We are here with another episode in another country. And I am so excited because we're going to my favorite country in the world, South Africa. This episode will be dedicated to South Africa. We're actually dedicating the whole month of December to South Africa because I love it so much and I want to show you why I love the country so much. So we're going to jump into the Johannesburg episode. We'll also have a Cape Town episode and we'll be doing 3 interviews here interviewing South African travelers. So please make sure you subscribe, because weekly we're going to be bringing you South African content and you're going to love it. So let's jump into this episode. Where do I begin with the country that I love so much? So I arrived to South Africa a week before the rest of the group. And this is probably my 5th or 6th time in South Africa. I've stayed for a month a year ago. I've stayed for 3 weeks at a time. So this time I arrived in South Africa and because I have some friends here, I always stay in Rosebank. So if you ever been to South Africa or Johannesburg, Rosebank and Sandton are 2 of the safest neighborhoods to stay in. South Africa, being fully transparent, can be a little janky, but I love it. But if you want safety, Rosebank, Sandton. So I stay in Rosebank. The week before the guests came, I spent my weekend on Saturday visiting the playground, which is this, I don't even know what to call it. They have food vendors, they have clothes vendors, they have parties. It's like it's in the CBD area and it's such a vibe. It's such a moment, like you have to visit if you're there. It's the true essence of South Africa. Back when I visited back in 2015, I visited and I was in love. Then on Sunday, we decided to visit the 4-way market. It's like a farmer's market, maybe about 35 minutes away from the center of Joburg from Rosebank. It was so amazing that I then had to alter the itinerary to make sure that like when my guests came the next week, we were able to go because it was a vibe like no other. So one thing I always say about Joburg opposed to Cape Town is you're gonna get the culture, you're gonna get the vibe. It's a feeling. Like I know a lot of people love Cape Town more. I love Joburg more. There's just a feeling in the vibe that you're gonna get. So now let's fast forward to when the guests come. The guests arrive. We decided to stay in Rosebank. I felt based on location, based on safety, it was kind of the best place for us to stay. Also, let me just say, keep in mind, South Africa deals with load shedding. If you don't know what load shedding is, it means that sometimes, and it can happen 2 or 3 times a day, you'll be without electricity for 2 hours at a time. So sometimes that happen once a day, sometimes that happen 2 times a day to give you a heads up. But I know for us Americans, it's very unusual. But yes, you will be without electricity for 2 times a day, like 2 hours a day. It sucks, but one of the things to make sure that when you're like contacting a hotel or Airbnb, that you ask them, do they have a generator? That's to assure that when load shedding happens, you'll then still have electricity. So that's very important. Remember that, load shedding. But let's move on to when the guests come. We stayed at a hotel. We didn't have to deal with load shedding. This hotel had generators, so great. We visited Glen Afrique, which is like kind of a safari, but not really a safari. You still get the safari experiences, but it's not a true, authentic safari. It's kind of like a haven for animals. So we got to like interact with elephants and see giraffes and see lions and tigers, and it was a great experience. Like, guests loved it. The energy was just amazing. The elephants were like absolutely beautiful. That was beautiful. You also do not come to South Africa without learning about Nelson Mandela. He is a huge deal here. So we went to the Apartheid Museum, which was truly breathtaking. We went to Nelson Mandela's house where we could see where he lived at before he became, Nelson Mandela. Where he lived at before prison, and then when he came back to after he served his 27 years in prison. We visited all that. We went to Soweto. His house is located actually in Soweto. But one of the core highlights of this trip, and to be fully transparent, I was very skeptical about whether we should record, whether we should include that into the video. We went to a safari. So we visited an orphanage, Nkosi Johnson's orphanage, Nkosi's Haven. And to be honest, I was very skeptical about whether we record, whether we include this footage, whether we not include this footage, because I'm a true believer that when we're doing community service and you're doing acts of service, they don't always have to be highlighted. They don't always have to be put in the forefront. So we went back and forth with whether we should record and whether we should add this footage. We are adding this footage. Not only was it a highlight for the trip for us, it also changed our perception of what we imagine the orphanage to be. So I think for many of the guests, they expected to arrive in this orphanage and it'd be very depressing. The kids look a little unkept. It was not like that at all. Like, when I tell you when we arrived, half of the guests were already in tears just from arrival. By the end of the day, we were all full of smiles and laughs and joy. The kids brought us so much joy. They danced, they showed us dance moves, they entertained us. The energy that they just gave us, the energy we gave them, it was something that I felt like was necessary for us to include in this video, so that a lot of times when it comes to Africa, when it comes to orphanages, when it comes to just different things that the media in America portrays, we have a different perception of what it's like, and then when you get there, what it's really like. And this orphanage did that for us. It completely changed our view of what an orphanage is and was, and the joy that radiated from the kids that we gave them, that they gave us. It was magical. It was something that you have to experience, you have to feel for yourself, but we all left kind of like on a high. So if you're able to visit the orphanage, great. We kind of bought some things that they may need, some toiletries and other stuff, and we just made sure that we gave back, because we feel like that's our responsibility. To be able to have a company that I have, a Black travel company, I think one of the things is making sure that we give back to those who at times can be less fortunate. Yeah, when somebody gives you a hand, you lend a hand back. Moving forward, we also had our dinner at Rockets Breinstein's. If you're ever in South Africa, you know that Rockets on a Friday and Saturday is a vibe. So we had this amazing dinner, which they set up and did a beautiful job. The food was amazing. And then we made our way upstairs to the club where we partied and really just had a great time. It was amazing. And then the thing I was telling you about, the 4-way farmers market that I went to the week before, I brought the guests there. And when I tell you, the vibe it was electric. It was fire. Like, once again, I always say that Joburg is a feeling. Like, that party was next level. Like, we've had some really great moments traveling for the last 3 years with TrayTableSeatBack, but that was truly a highlight for me. That was a highlight for the guests. Like, just to look around and not have to wonder if somebody was enjoying themselves. You seen the joy, you felt the joy, the food. There were so many food vendors with food that was just, I think we all got food from different vendors and everybody was like, I was like, was it good? People couldn't even speak. They were like just licking their fingers and enjoying the food. It was just great. The DJ played hip hop and R&B and played Afro beats. So the fact that they kind of like accommodated us in that moment and we just really vibe. Of course, you'll see highlights, but you have to visit. If you're ever in Joburg, it happened on a Sunday. It is really a place to be on Sunday. It gets full really quick, so we made sure we picked up like blankets and kind of like lawn chairs to have our own seating, but it was definitely a vibe. Yeah, for me, I love Joburg. I love South Africa. I hope that through the videos that you see and through the clips you see, you'll understand why I love it so much. But for me, like I said, the highlight for this trip was Glen Effrey, visiting the four-way market, the four-way farmers market on Sundays, and then the orphanage. Like those three together just made for a great trip. Not to mention that even after experiencing that, we went over to Cape Town, but that'll be the next video. So you have to subscribe and tune in for the next video. But you see why I love Joburg. Just make sure that you stay tuned for the next video, which we're gonna do Cape Town, which is a completely different vibe. Both South Africa, but two completely different vibes. So until the next video, but not the next country, make sure you travel freely, travel fearlessly, and travel safely. So see you on the next video. We'll still be in the same country. Join me next week when we drop that video.